December 1980. Height of the Cold War. In a forest in eastern England, between two military bases housing nuclear weapons, elite U.S. Air Force personnel come face to face with something they cannot explain. Not one, but multiple trained military witnesses. Not one night, but 3 consecutive nights. Not just eyewitness accounts, but real-time audio recordings and an official memo addressed to the British Ministry of Defence. What happened in Rendlesham Forest wouldn't disappear with the dawn. More than 40 years later, it remains unexplained. This is the story of the UK's most documented UFO incident, known as the British Roswell. Welcome. I'm David, and this is Untold Nightmares. Rendlesham Forest. A name that might not ring a bell, unless you're a fan of unexplained phenomena. This roughly 15-square-kilometer forest in Suffolk, England, was the scene of one of the most perplexing encounters between military personnel and, well, something. What makes this case different from the thousands of reports of lights in the sky that occur every year? First, the credibility of the witnesses. We're not talking about tourists with blurry cameras. We're talking about sergeants, lieutenant colonels, elite security personnel responsible for protecting the largest NATO base in Europe. People specifically trained to observe, report, and remain calm under pressure. Second, the contemporary documentation. There is an official memorandum, dated just 2 weeks after the events. There is an audio recording made during the events, not years later when memory becomes hazy. And third, the tangible consequences. One of the main witnesses received official recognition from the U.S. government in 2015 for health problems related to his encounter with what they officially called a UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon. So get ready, because what you're about to hear defies simple explanations. And in the end, you'll have to decide for yourself what you think really happened on those cold December nights. To understand this case, we need to return to the world of 1980. The Cold War is at one of its most intense points. The Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan the previous year. Ronald Reagan, perceived as a hardliner against communism, has just been elected president of the United States. The hostage crisis in Iran remains unresolved. And amid this global tension, in the quiet county of Suffolk, England, lie 2 twin air bases, RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge. Technically, they are British Royal Air Force bases, but they are operated by the United States Air Force. Together, they form NATO's largest military installation in Europe. And, according to some witnesses, they house nuclear weapons. Between these 2 bases stretches Rendlesham Forest, a dense woodland, primarily of pine trees, owned by the British Forestry Commission. At night, it is a dark, cold place, with visibility limited by the thick canopy. December of 1980 brings a particularly cold winter. The nights are freezing, the ground is frozen, and the fog settles among the trees like a gray blanket. It is in this setting that 3 men are about to experience something that will change their lives forever. Let me introduce you to the protagonists. Staff Sergeant James Peniston, 26 years old, USAF Security Supervisor at Woodbridge. Peniston is no rookie. He joined the Air Force in 1973 and was assigned to the Strategic Air Command Elite Guard in Omaha, Nebraska. He has provided security for general officers, members of Congress, and foreign heads of state. He is exactly the kind of person you trust to remain calm and accurately report what he sees. Airman First Class John Burroughs. Younger than Peniston, but equally professional. Burroughs would eventually serve 27 years in the Air Force, between active duty and reserve. On this December night in 1980, he is part of the base's routine security patrol. And finally, Lieutenant Colonel Charles I, Halt, the deputy commanding officer of RAF Bentwaters. Born in 1939, Halt is a veteran who has served in Vietnam, Japan, and Korea. His subordinates describe him as an enlisted man's colonel, someone who values the knowledge and judgment of non-commissioned officers. He is not the type of man to panic or jump to conclusions. These 3 men, along with other witnesses, are about to find themselves at the heart of one of the most enduring military mysteries in modern history. The date is December 26, 1980. Boxing Day in the UK. It's just after 3 a.m. and everything is about to change. John Burroughs is on night security patrol near the east gate of RAF Woodbridge. It's a night like any other, cold, dark, routine. Until it isn't. Burroughs and his partner spot something strange heading into the woods.
Lights.
Not the lights of an airplane, not a vehicle. Something different. Something that seems to be descending into the woods. They return to the nearest guard post to report what they've seen. From there, they can still see the lights. They haven't gone away. They weren't their imagination. Almost simultaneously, another security patrol arrives and confirms, yes, there's something there. The decision is made to investigate. Peniston, as the security supervisor, takes command. He and Burroughs will be sent off base to find out what the hell is going on. There's a crucial detail here. They aren't carrying their weapons.
Why?
Because technically they're leaving U.S. jurisdiction and entering British territory. Those are the rules. Peniston, Burroughs, and aviator Ed Cabansag, who will stay close to the vehicle as a radio link, venture into Rendlesham Forest. Imagine for a moment that you are one of them. You are in a dense, dark forest, with your flashlight as your only source of light. It is a freezing winter night. You are looking for something you shouldn't be seeing, in a place where nothing unusual should be. And then you see it. Years later, in his official testimony, Peniston described what he found with almost clinical precision, a triangular-shaped object, approximately 2 to 3 meters across at the base and 2 meters high, metallic in appearance. Not shiny silver, but something that, in his words, had a crystalline or even translucent quality. The object emitted light, not like a light bulb, but as if the surface itself were generating light. A white light that illuminated the entire surrounding forest. At the top, a pulsating red light. Below, a bank of blue lights. But here's the truly bizarre part. Peniston claims he got close enough to touch the object. He says it was warm to the touch, like metal that's been in the sun, except it's midnight in December. And on the surface were engravings that looked like symbols or glyphs. Symbols about 3 inches tall and 2.5 feet wide. The main symbol was a triangle, centered among the others. In his notebook, a notebook he first showed publicly in 2003, Peniston wrote down the exact time, 0:20 Greenwich Mean Time on December 27th. He made drawings. He took notes. Meanwhile, something else is happening. Burroughs reported that the animals on a nearby farm went into a frenzy, barking, mooing, as if terrified by something humans couldn't fully perceive. Burroughs described a feeling of static electricity in the air. And then the object does something neither Peniston nor Burroughs expects. When they try to get closer, the object seems to move through the trees. Not over the trees.
Not around them.
Through the woods, as if the trees weren't solid obstacles.
Think about it.
These are trained soldiers. They're not easily frightened. But there's something they're witnessing that defies all logic. Around 4 a.m., local police are called to the scene. But when they arrive, they report that the only lights they can see are those of the Orfordness Lighthouse, several miles away on the coast. Did the U.S. military mistake a lighthouse for an unidentified object? Save that question. Because this story is just beginning. At daybreak, Peniston, Burroughs, and others return to the site in the woods. And they find something. In a small clearing near the eastern edge of the forest, there are 3 depressions in the ground. They form a perfect equilateral triangle. Each depression is about 7 inches in diameter and 1.5 inches deep. The ground was frozen that night. It's not easy to make marks on frozen ground. They also find burn marks on nearby trees and broken branches. At 10:30, the local police are called again, this time to examine the prints. Their assessment is terse. They were probably made by an animal. Perhaps a rabbit or a deer. But Peniston has made plaster casts of the prints. A physical record. Tangible evidence. 2 nights later, in the early hours of December 28th, though the official report lists it as the 29th due to a memory lapse, the second event occurs. And this time, the main witness is of much higher rank. Lieutenant Colonel Charles I, Halt, the base's deputy commander. Halt wasn't there the first night, but he's heard the reports. And he decides he needs to see the site for himself with his own team. Not because he believes in UFOs, but because he needs to put this matter to rest once and for all. So Halt gathers several men and goes out into the woods, taking with him an N/PDR 27 radiation meter, standard military equipment for detecting radiation, and crucially, a microcassette recorder. That decision to record would change everything. What is known as the Halt Tape is an extraordinary document. It is not a testimony given years later. It is a real-time recording of what Halt and his men are experiencing as it is happening. They arrive at the site of the triangular depressions. They begin taking radiation readings. The readings in the depressions, 0.07 milliroentgens per hour. The surrounding area, 0.03 to 0.04 milliroentgens. Is this significant? Later experts will say that the equipment was not designed to measure background radiation, so readings at the low end of the scale lack real meaning.
But Halt doesn't know this at the time.
And when the meter also detects a similar burst more than half a mile from the site, the tension mounts. And then something happens that you can hear on the recording. They see a flashing red light across the field, to the east. It's not the lighthouse. Halt knows the lighthouse. It's farther away on the same line of sight. This is something different. In his recording, Halt describes the light as similar to the sun, red in color. He says it moves and pulses. And then something extraordinary. The light begins to shed bright particles from its main body, like molten metal dripping, according to Halt's description. Then it splits into 5 separate objects before disappearing. But it doesn't end there. Halt and his men now see 3 star-like lights in the sky, 2 to the north, 1 to the south, about 10 degrees above the horizon. The brightest remains visible for 2 to 3 hours and appears to occasionally project a beam of light downward. The entire incident lasts approximately 3 hours. 3 hours of continuous observation by military personnel, audio recorded. When it finally ends and they return to base, Halt knows he has to report this officially. He can't simply ignore it. 2 weeks later, on January 13, 1981, Halt writes an official memorandum. It is titled simply, Unexplained Lights. The document is written on official U.S. Air Force letterhead, but oddly, it is not classified in any way. It doesn't say confidential. It doesn't say secret. It is a standard report addressed to the British Ministry of Defence. And that's where things get really interesting. So, what did the British Ministry of Defence do with this official report from a U.S. lieutenant colonel describing unexplained objects near a NATO nuclear base? Practically nothing. The official position of the Ministry of Defence was clear. The event posed no threat to national security and was therefore never investigated as a security matter. When researcher Dr. David Clark of Sheffield Hallam University finally gained access to the MOD archives in 2001, 20 years after the incident, he discovered they consisted mainly of internal correspondence and responses to public inquiries. There was no in-depth investigation. They hadn't even interviewed the witnesses.
Why?
According to Simon Whedon, who received the memo on the MOD's UFO desk, they simply didn't consider it important. They checked the air defense radar logs, found nothing unusual, and closed the case. This infuriated some important people. Among them was Fleet Admiral Lord Hill Norton, former chief of the UK Defence Staff, essentially one of the country's highest-ranking military officers. Hill Norton posed a devastating question to the government. If the US report is accurate, there is evidence that British airspace and territory are vulnerable to unwarranted intrusions to a disturbing degree. If a UFO entered and landed right next to an armed NATO airbase, shouldn't the MOD be interested in that? If, on the other hand, Colonel Halt's report is to be dismissed, then we have evidence, no less disturbing, that a considerable number of American personnel at a major nuclear weapons base on British soil are capable of serious misperception, the consequences of which could be grave in military terms. Think about it. It's a perfect logical trap. Either something extraordinary happened and the government failed to properly investigate it, or military personnel trained to handle nuclear weapons had a massive collective misperception. Both options are disturbing, but there's something else. Something that didn't emerge until decades later. In 2015, 35 years after the incident, the U.S. government did something unprecedented. The Veterans Administration officially acknowledged that former Airman First Class John Burroughs suffered health problems resulting from his encounter with a UAP, an unidentified aerial phenomenon. Let me repeat that. The United States government officially, in legal documents, acknowledged that Burroughs had an encounter with an unidentified aerial phenomenon and that this encounter caused him harm. They granted him total medical disability. This is extraordinary. The government typically leans toward conventional explanations in these cases. But here, they specifically used the term UAP and directly connected Burroughs' health problems to the Rendlesham incident. What does the government know that it hasn't told us? There is another disturbing detail. In 2015, Halt announced that he had obtained written statements from radar operators at both RAF Bentwaters and the nearby Wattisham Air Base, confirming that an unidentified object was tracked on radar at the time of the incident. If this is true, and Halt maintains that it is, it means that something solid, something reflecting radar waves, was indeed in the area when the events occurred. But these radar statements have never been independently and publicly verified. So, what really happened at Rendlesham Forest? After more than 40 years, there is still no consensus. But there are several main theories, each with its proponents and its problems. Let's examine them honestly. Theory 1. Conventional explanations. The most popular skeptical explanation involves Orfordness Lighthouse, located approximately 5 miles away on the coast. The argument is simple. On the night of the first incident, local police reported seeing nothing but the lighthouse beam, which at the time was one of the brightest in the UK. The lighthouse beam, viewed through the trees from certain angles, could appear to move or float. Furthermore, astronomer Ian Ridpath, the main proponent of this theory, points out something compelling. In Halt's recording, the light he describes flickers every 5 seconds. Exactly the flicker rate of Orfordness Lighthouse. Did trained military personnel mistake a lighthouse for an extraterrestrial spacecraft? Witnesses categorically deny this. Peniston and Halt argue that they knew the lighthouse, had seen it hundreds of times, and that what they saw was fundamentally different. The lighthouse was farther away, on the same general line of sight, but it wasn't the same thing. Another explanation involves the bright meteor that was confirmed by the British Astronomical Association. Dr. John Mason reported that a meteor, almost as bright as the full moon, was seen over southern England at approximately 3 a.m. on December 26. Could this meteor have been the initial sighting that then escalated due to excitement and confusion? It's possible. Meteors can be extraordinarily bright, and their appearance can cause a massive number of reports. But that doesn't explain the multiple nights of observations. A meteor is an event lasting seconds, not hours. These star-like lights that Halt saw floating in the sky have their own conventional explanation: bright stars distorted by the atmosphere. Ridpath suggests that the lights to the north could have been Sirius and Vega, 2 of the brightest stars in the sky. Under specific atmospheric conditions, stars can appear to twinkle, change color, or even seem to move. All these explanations have merit. All are plausible. But do they explain the full body of evidence and testimony? Theory 2. Experimental technology. Some researchers suggest that what the witnesses saw was experimental military technology, either American or Soviet. This was during the height of the Cold War. The bases housed nuclear weapons. Is it possible that they were testing advanced surveillance systems, experimental drones, or even psychological warfare technology? This theory would explain several things. Why didn't the government investigate thoroughly? They already knew. Why the details remain classified? Why was there technology that seemed ahead of its time? But it also had major problems. If it was experimental American technology, why not inform your own base security to prevent these kinds of incidents? Why risk your armed personnel potentially firing on your own experimental equipment? And if it was Soviet technology, that would mean the Soviets had penetrated the airspace of Europe's largest NATO base, flown at low altitude for 3 consecutive nights, and absolutely no one did anything about it. That's also hard to believe. Theory 3. Extraterrestrial origin. And then there's the theory that makes many scientists roll their eyes, that what Peniston, Burroughs, and Halt saw was of extraterrestrial origin. The arguments in favor are considerable. 1. Multiple trained military witnesses, with impeccable credentials, maintain their stories decades later, even when it means being ridiculed. 2. Contemporary documentation, Halt's memo, the audio recording, Peniston's notebooks. These are not vague recollections. These are records made during or immediately after the events. 3. Physical evidence, triangular depressions in frozen ground, radiation readings, controversial but documented, marks on trees. 4. The object's behavior defies conventional explanations. Maneuvers that no aircraft known in 1980 could perform. Extraordinary lighting capabilities. 5. The government's official acknowledgment of Burroughs' health effects related to a UAP. But let's be honest. The evidence of extraterrestrial origin is circumstantial. There are no material remains of the object in public possession. There are no clear and indisputable photographs. There are no laboratory analyses of alien materials. What we have are testimonies, however credible they may be. Radiation readings, however well documented. Depressions in the ground, however perfectly triangular they may be. Is that enough? Regardless of which theory you prefer, there are elements that no explanation fully addresses. Why are the dates in Halt's memo wrong? Halt admitted the error, but what else could be wrong with his memory? Why did Peniston wait until 2003 to publicly display his notebook? And why did he wait until 2010, 30 years later, to reveal the supposed binary code he received telepathically? If the lighthouse explains everything, why couldn't local police officers, who knew the lighthouse perfectly well, convince the U.S. military that that was all they saw? If it was a massive misperception, how did it affect personnel on multiple nights in different locations with different witnesses, all reporting similar details? And the most disturbing question of all, what does the government, both British and American, know that it hasn't told us? The files released in 2001 are remarkably superficial for an incident involving a NATO nuclear base. Are there deeper files that remain classified? In 2010, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt signed a notarized affidavit, a legal document where making a false statement carries criminal consequences. In it, he stated that he believed the objects were of extraterrestrial origin and that there had been a cover-up by both governments. Halt is not an internet conspiracy theorist. He is a retired colonel with decades of impeccable military service. Why would he risk his reputation with such a statement if he weren't absolutely convinced? The truth is, we don't know. And that uncertainty is perhaps the most fascinating thing about this whole case. So, what conclusion can we draw from all this? After immersing myself in this case, after reading the documents, listening to Halt's recording, and studying the witness testimonies, I'll tell you what I find most remarkable. It's not whether or not it was an extraterrestrial craft. It's that something definitely happened. Multiple people saw something. Something real enough to generate official reports, audio recordings, plaster casts, and radiation readings. Something impactful enough that decades later, men who have risked their lives in combat, who have handled nuclear weapons, who have everything to lose and nothing to gain, continue to defend the truth of their experience. You can believe they mistook stars, lighthouses, and meteors. That's a rational position supported by serious skeptical researchers. You can believe it was secret experimental technology. That theory has military logic. Or you can believe, like Halt, Peniston, and Burroughs, that for 3 nights in December 1980, something genuinely inexplicable visited Rendlesham Forest. What this case reminds us of is something fundamental about reality. There are things we don't fully understand. There are mysteries that persist despite our technology, despite our science, despite our best efforts to explain them. Rendlesham Forest is still there, by the way. You can visit it. Walk the same paths that Peniston and Burroughs walked that freezing night. Stand in the clearing where the triangular depressions were found. Some visitors report strange sensations. Others feel nothing at all. But all of them, inevitably, look up at the night sky and wonder. And perhaps that is the real lesson of Rendlesham. It's not about having all the answers. It's about maintaining a sense of wonder, asking difficult questions, and not settling for easy explanations just because they make us feel more comfortable. Now it's your turn. After hearing the facts, after learning about the theories, after considering the evidence, what do you think Peniston, Burroughs, and Halt really saw on those December nights? I'd love to hear your opinion. Leave it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this in-depth investigation, if it made you think, if it intrigued you even a little, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We'll continue exploring these mysteries that defy simple explanations, these cases that remind us that the universe is much stranger and perhaps much more wonderful than we imagine. 1991 eclipse mass sightings in Mexico City, another incident that defied everything we thought we knew about what was possible. Until then, keep your eyes on the sky. And don't forget to look towards the woods from time to time.
150 feet or more from the initial, I should say, suspected impact point. Having a lift car, we can't get the light on to work. Seems to be some kind of mechanical problem. Let's send it back and get another light on. Meantime, we're going to take some readings at the gyrocounter and chase around here a little bit, wait for another light on to come back in. Standing up. The security control. Yes, that's one of the pod number. Okay, we're now approaching the area within about 25-30 feet. What kind of readings are we getting? Anything? Just minor clicks. Minor clicks. What are the impressions? There's one. Is that a little bigger they are? Well, there's one more well designed. The security control. We're still getting clicks. Can we read that on a scale? Yes, sir. We're now on the 5/10 scale, and we're reading about third, fourth increment. Okay, we're still comfortably safe here. You don't have a light on, full gas ready? Security. Can you have them? There's still minor readings. The second with gas orientation. Security. This one's good. Let's go to the third one over here. Yes, now I'm getting some residual. I can read down. The meter's definitely giving the pulse. That's what I was going to say. Let's go to the center of the area next and see what kind of reading we get out there. You're reading the clicks. I can't hear the clicks. Yes, sir. Got about the center, Bruce? Yes. Okay, let's go to the center. Yes, I get it. That's the best deflection needle I've seen yet. Okay, can you give me an estimation? We're on the 0.5 scale. We're getting... At approximately 01:25 hours. We're getting right at a half of the middle right now. Last point. I haven't seen it go any higher. Let's go farther. Okay, we'll go out toward the... Now it's picking up. This is out toward the number one indentation where we first got the strongest reading. Yeah, it's similar to what we got in the center. In a pod. It's mainly in the center. Looks like an area here, possibly. It could be a blast. It's in the center. It's hard to tell. You got to take this. My finger's about to freeze. Here, too. Up to what, 7? What? Just jumped up to 7/10 there. 7/10 right there in the center? Uh-huh. We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scruffed up area here. We're getting very positive readings. Let's see, is that here the center? Yes, it is. This is what we would assume would be the dead center. Just picking up more as we go along the whole area here now. Up to 7/10? Or 7 units, let's call it, on the 0.5 scale. Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we make a sweep? Here, I've got my gloves on now. Let's make a sweep out around the whole area, about 10 foot out, and make a perimeter run around it. Starting right back here at the corner. Back at the same first corner where we came in. Let's go right back here. Don't let it depend upon you counting the clicks. Okay, let's get then I can put the light on it and sweep around it. It would flag? Put it on the ground every once in a while. This looks like an abrasion on the tree. Okay, we'll catch that on the way back. Let's go around. One guy hit it there. I got any interest right over here. It looks like an abrasion pointing into the center. It is. It may be old, though. There's some sap marks or something on it. Let's go on back around. All right. So it gives some extension on there. Yeah, this is an awkward thing to use, isn't it? No, let me see. I can carry it on my ears, but this one broke. When we get anything further, I'm going to shut the recorder off till we find something. Picking up? What are we up to? We're up to 2-3 units. Deflection, you're getting in close to one pod. Picking up something. Picking up. Okay, it's still not going above 3 or 4 units. Picking up more though, more frequent. Yes, you're staying steady up around 2 to 3 to 4 units now. Yeah. One of these trees that face into the blast, what we assume is a landing site, all have an abrasion facing in the same direction towards the center. That's interesting. Well, let's go this way around the circle here. Turn it back down here. Picking up something in your collection. Let me see that. That's kind of funny. You're right about the abrasion. I've never seen a tree that's never seen a pine tree that's been damaged react that fast. I got a bottle to put that in. Yeah, you got a sample bottle? Just go ahead for the soil. Yeah, here. Sit this on the ground. Oh, right. You'll notice they're all the same. Okay, from now on, let's identify that as point number 1. That stake there. So y'all know where it is. We have to sketch it. You got that set, Nevels? Yes, sir. Okay. Closest to the wood bridge base. Point 1. Be point 1. And let's go clockwise from there. Point 2. Point 2? So this tree is between point 2 and point 3. And 2 other personnel requesting to randomly that your location. Tell them negative at this time. We'll tell them when they can come out here. We don't want them out here right now. Okay, the sample, you're going to mark this sample number 1. Yes. Have them cut it off and include some of that sap and all. Is between indentation 2 and 3 on a pine tree about 5 feet away, about 3.5 feet off the ground. How's that small? There's a round abrasion on the tree about 3.5, 4 inches in diameter. It looks like it might be old, but strange as a crystalline pine sap has come out that fast. You see those other trees here that are damaged in similar fashion? Yes, often towards the center of the landing. Okay, why don't you take a picture of that and remember your picture, and you got to be writing this down. It's going to be on the tape. Right. Got a tape measure with you? This is the picture. Your first picture will be at the first tree, the one between Mark 2 and 3. Meantime, I'm going to look at a couple of these trees over here. We are getting some. You're getting readings on the tree you're taking samples from on the side facing the suspected landing site. 4 clicks max. Up to 4. Interesting. That's right where you're taking the sample now. 4. That's the strongest point on the tree? Yes, sir. If you come to the back, there's no clicks whatsoever. No clicks at all on the back. It's all on the side facing the... Interesting. The indentations look like something twisted as it got, as it sat down on them. Looks like someone took something and sat it down and twisted it from side to side. Mm-hmm. Very strange. We're looking at the same tree we took the sample off with this, what do you call it, star scope? Star. You're getting a definite heat reflection off the tree, about 3 to 4 feet off the ground. Yes, where the spot is. Same place where the spot is. We're getting a heat. And the spot on the tree directly behind us, I picked up the same thing, and one off to your right. 3 trees in the area, immediately adjacent to the site, within 10 feet of the suspected landing site. We're picking up heat reflection off the trees. Like Bob. What's that again? Well, shine a light on again, Bob. Well, you have trouble hitting it? Yeah. Get them right on the spot, and then when you want them, okay, turn the light on. You'll notice the white. Hey. Is there a white streak on the tree?
Indicates
Let me turn around and look at this tree over here now. Just a second. White streak right on the tree. I can see it. Wait a minute, give me a little side lining so I can find the tree. Okay, off. I've lost the tree. Okay, stop. Light off. Hey, this is eerie.
What is the hot spot?
This is strange. Here, somebody want to look at the spots in the ground? Whoops, what you know? We're walking all over the block here, sir. Okay, let's step back, not walk all over him. Come back here, somebody put a beam on him. Well, you're going to have to be back 10 or 15 feet. See it?
Okay, fine.
Okay, lights off. What do you think about the spot? Yeah. Let's see at the first spot. Okay, that's what we'd call spot number 3. Let's go to the back corner and get spot number 1. Spot number 1. Here's spot number 1 right here. Spot number 1 right here. You need some light? There it is right there. You focused? Okay. Looking out, spot number 1 through the starlight scope.
Take a slight increase in light as I go over.
Slight increase in light at spot number 1. Let's go look at spot number 2. Spot number 2 is right over here. Right here. See it? Okay, get focused on it. Tell me when. Okay. Lights out. Let's see what we get on it.
Slight increase.
Just a slight increase?
Let's try to center.
The center spot. Well, it really isn't center. It's slightly off center. It's right there.
Right here. Let's mark that.
Okay. I'm going to get your reading on it right there.
Okay.
Tell me when you're ready.
Ready?
Okay, lights out. This is the center spot we're looking at now. Almost the center.
Yeah, slight increase.
Slight increase there. This is slightly off center toward the 1-2 side. It's some type of abrasion or something in the ground where the pine needles are all pushed back, and where we get a high reading about deflection of 2 to 3, maybe 4, depending on the point on it.
Want to check it?
Yes. You said there's a positive after effect? Yes, there is definitely. That's on the center spot. There is an after effect.
What does that mean?
Means when the lights are turned off, once we are focused in and allow time for the eyes to adjust, we are getting an indication of a heat source coming out of that center spot, which will show up on heat or some form of energy. It's hardly heat at this stage of the game. And it is looking directly overhead. One can see an opening in the trees, plus some freshly broken pine branches on the ground underneath. Looks like some of them came off about 15 to 20 feet up. Some small branches about an inch or less in diameter. Zero 148, we're hearing very strange sounds out of the farmer's barnyard animals. They're very, very active, making an awful lot of noise.
Yes, and a pigmentation.
You just saw a light where? Wait, now slow down. Where?
Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again. Watch, straight ahead off my flashlight there, sir. There it is.
Hey, I see it too. What is it?
We don't know, sir.
So can I get some? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light. Looks to be out maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. I'm going to switch off. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. Is it back again?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's the flashlight set. Let's move out to the edge of the clearing so we can get a better look at it. See if you can get the star scope on it. The light's still there, and all the barnyard animals have gotten quiet now. Yeah, we're heading about 110 to 120 degrees from the site out through to the clearing now. Still getting a reading on the meter. About 2 clicks. Meter's jumped 3 to 4 clicks, getting stronger.
Now it's stopped. Now it's coming up. Hold up. There we go. It's about approximately 4 foot off the ground. It's come to test of 110 degrees.
All right, just turn the meter off. You got to say that again.
About 4 feet off the ground, about 110 degrees, getting a reading of about 4 clicks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but
Excuse me. No, it's dying.
no, it's not. I think it's something other than the ground. I think it's something variable
Got
here.
the tree right over.
We just frightened the first night bird we've seen. We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead.
There's yellow.
I saw a yellow tinge in it, too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been.
Yellow.
It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird.
To the left.
Yeah, definitely moving to the left.
Two lights.
One
light to the front,
okay.
One light to the left.
Keep the flashlights off. There's something very, very strange. Keep the headset on. See if it gets any stronger. Okay. Give us a rundown.
Notation that this is on the beta reading, too.
It's on the beta reading?
The beta
Okay.
shield has been removed.
Okay. Pieces were falling off it again.
But it just moved to the right.
Yeah.
Got to the right.
Strange. Oh, well, why again left? Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. You want to do without lights? Let's do it carefully. Come on. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow stare, a dark stare. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright through the star scope that it almost burns your eye. We passed the farmer's house and across in the next field. Now we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape and all, but they seem to be steady now rather than a pulsating or glow with a red flash. We just crossed the creek, and we're getting what kind of readings now? Getting through 3 good clicks on the meter, and we're seeing strange lights in the sky. 244, we're at the far side of the second farmer's field, and made sighting again about 110 degrees. This looks like it's clear out to the coast. It's right on the horizon. Moves about a bit and flashes from time to time. Still steady or red in color. Also, after negative readings in the center of the field, we're picking up slight readings, 4 or 5 clicks now on the meter. 305, we see strange strobe-like flashes to the rather sporadic, but there's definitely something, some kind of phenomenon. 305, at about 10 degrees horizon directly north, we've got 2 strange objects, half-moon shape, dancing about with colored lights on them. Guessed to be about 5 to 10 miles out, maybe less. The half-moons have now turned into full circles. As though there was an eclipse or something there for a minute or two. 0315 now, we've got an object about 10 degrees directly south, 10 degrees off the horizon. And the ones to the north are moving, one's moving away from us.
It's moving out fast. This one on the right takes away, too.
Yeah, we're both heading north.
Okay.
Hey, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal. 330, 0330, and the objects are still in the sky, although the one to the south looks like it's losing a little bit of altitude. We're turning around and heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground. 0400 hours, one object still hovering over Woodbridge Base at about 5 to 10 degrees off the horizon, still moving erratic and similar lights and beaming down as earlier.